What's up, YouTube? Thank you for clicking on the video and coming back to watch another Semeex football episode. Thanks for the real ones who joined me for the last watch along, and I will see you soon for the next watch along, which should be tomorrow if you're watching this on Wednesday. I am going to do a watch along for the second leg of the semifinal with Athletic Bilbao, whatever they're called. I'll be there, and I'll be going live about 10 or 15 minutes before kickoff. And by the way, the thumbnail's already posted. The YouTube thumbnail's already posted. You can click on notify me or whatever if you find the thumbnail. I'll try to link it to the description of this video so you can be notified when I go live. But it's usually about 10 or 15 minutes before kickoff. But show up early in case I go live early, and let's watch the game together. And for those of you who've never done a watch along with me, we talk a little bit about tactics while the game is going on. But for the most part, we watch the game, we have a conversation, and then after the game, we stay online for an extra 30 minutes to an hour and dissect the game and talk more about it. But let's get that out of the way, and let's focus on today's story, man. Today's story is about Bruno Fernandes. I mean, when I saw the news today about Bruno Fernandes and the Saudis being interested in taking Bruno Fernandes from us, at first, I was like, this isn't real. This is just clickbait. This is the same thing all the journalists do all the time, just trying to rile us Manchester United fans up, trying to get our clicks and trying to get us worried, because he is our best player. Whether you like him or not doesn't matter. He's our best player right now. He's the one player you can count on, and when he's not on the pitch, it's highly evident we are a lot worse of a team when Bruno Fernandes is not playing. Not to mention, he's one of the few players on our squad that rarely gets injured or is rarely unavailable. He's almost always ready to go. He's almost always ready to give you 90 minutes, and he can do it twice a week on most weeks. So he's not a player you want to lose, right? So when you see the Saudis coming in for him, you got to worry. But again, I thought the story was BS, not real. But then I started seeing some very credible journalists saying the story is real, like a Ben Jacobs, who's very tapped into the Middle Eastern market. The guy, I believe, was stationed in Qatar a long time ago. So he's got Middle Eastern contacts. And when he says something that has to do with Saudi Arabia or Qatar, you got to listen to the guy. He knows what he's talking about, and he's got good sources. And then I started seeing it from other people too. And I'm going like, maybe this isn't clickbait. Maybe this is real. And when that happened, I started having to think about it. Now it's in my head. Now I got to break it down. Would Bruno want to leave? Would we want to sell? What's going to happen? We're going to unravel that today, and I'm going to talk to you logically like I always do. Anybody who comes to this channel knows that, yes, we have intense emotions. We love our squad. We love our team. But in the end, we got to park the emotions, and we got to think logically and break it down and go, what is possible in this world? What could happen with the kind of figures they're talking about? And what is Bruno most likely going to do? What is Ineos most likely going to do with this kind of offer being tabled? Now, the first thing I thought about was Bruno Fernandes, because if Bruno Fernandes is not willing to go to Saudi Arabia, he's not going to go to Saudi Arabia. Now, in the past, they have tried to take him from us before, and he turned them down. And that's when he signed an extension with us. So my first gut feeling is he's not going anywhere. But then you start thinking about, well, the Saudis already got denied by him in the past, and they came back for him. So hence his agent, who is his brother-in-law, it has kept it friendly. He didn't turn them down too harshly when the original offer happened. But also, this time they upped their bid. I don't think they were trying to pay him more than 500 or 600,000 pounds a week before. And now we're talking figures in the 1 million to 1 million, 1.25 million, like 1.25 million a week in wages. And you start to worry. I'm going to explain to you why you start to worry and why Bruno Fernandes can get his head turned by this and really consider. He'd have to consider it, guys, and I'm going to explain to you why. And this has nothing to do with someone who's going to like be a mercenary or go for the money, because I got to tell you something. I want you to put yourself in his shoes for a second. This is generational wealth. This isn't just wealth for you and your kids and your grandkids. This is wealth for your grandkids, grandkids. And I'm going to explain why in a second here. Saudi Arabia has zero personal income tax. Zero personal income tax. You don't pay Social Security. You don't pay any kind of national insurance. Saudi Arabia does not need your money. They make so much money from their oil, they do not tax their citizens. There's zero personal income tax. So when this man is making 1.25 million pounds a week, the difference is huge compared to what he's making now. It's not just what you think. Let's just say, even though I know he's probably not, but let's say he's making 400,000 pounds a week right now. You know he's not. You know he's not. He's probably making somewhere around 300 to 350. But let's just say 400,000 before somebody, if I say 300, someone's going to get in my comments, he makes more than that. Fine. Let's say 400,000 pounds a week. If he makes 400,000 pounds a week and he's going to get paid 1.25, not even considering taxes, that's already 800,000 pounds a week more. But that's not how it works. You have to think about the taxes. Guys, for him to earn the same amount of money playing in England to 1.25 that he's earning clean without taxes in Saudi Arabia, give me a second, I got to do my math here. So if he's making 1.25 clean and he's going to get taxed 45%, and then he's going to have to pay the national insurance, and I'm lying, by the way, I ain't doing any math. I asked ChatGPT, and ChatGPT told me that he would have to earn in England 2.31 million pounds a week to earn that. I literally told ChatGPT, if I earned 1.25 million pounds in Saudi Arabia, what would I have to earn in England to take home the same money? And then ChatGPT went on and on about how England has a national insurance fee you have to pay and the income tax brackets. It like wrote out the whole thing. But bottom line is he would have to earn 2.31 million to equal 1.25. If he was, let's say the 1.25 is a blown out number. Let's say Saudi Arabia is not offering him that, and that's just clickbait that they're using. If they were offering him 1 million a week, he'd have to earn 1.9 million in England a week to match that 1 million. So what I'm telling you is, even if they're offering him 800,000 a week, he would have to earn almost double that. So it's almost double every time. It's almost double. It's not quite double, but it's almost double. Okay? Because the taxes are like 45 point something % in England. And then you have to pay a little bit to this thing called national insurance, I guess, whatever that means. But you would have to earn almost double to equal that. Guys, that's not something easy to turn down, because it's already 3 times more than he's getting paid, and then double that to actually earn the same take home after income tax. It's already, even if they're offering him 800,000 and we're only paying him 300,000, it's already almost 3 times what he's getting paid, plus no taxes. So it's double 3 times what 6 times what he's already getting paid is what somebody's offering him in the twilight years of his career. He's only got 3 to 6 more years left in him at the high level. And high level, by the way, is an asterisk here, because it might be very high level for another 2 years and then 4 years at like an MLS, if you will. But nobody 3 years from now is going to give him that kind of money. This is it. This is it for him and his family. So him and his family have to decide whether or not they would take this kind of money. And then Ineos, being the smart businessmen they are, that some of us will say things like, Ineos is here to clean us up. But of course they're going to make people redundant and do what they have to do, because the Glazers put us in this mess. You know what I'm talking about, that rhetoric. And I'm not saying it's bad. This isn't me making fun of them. I'm just using voices to say the example of these people. Sometimes people think I'm making fun of people when I'm not. I'm just making examples. I'm trying to paint a clear picture when I do these things. So Ineos, who are business savvy, they might have to sit down and think about because the rumor, listen, they're going to offer at least 90 million, I think, pounds to buy him. But the rumor is they're going to offer a British record, which is 125 million. So they're probably going to offer somewhere around 125 to 150 million realistically. 90 million is lowballing it. They're going to offer somewhere around 125 to 150 million, even if it is 120. That's still a lot for a 31-year-old. They're going to offer somewhere around 125 to 150 million pounds to buy him from us. That is not something Ineos can just turn down flat out. No, especially if Bruno has a meeting with them and says, I kind of want to go. I'm kind of considering going. Because he's getting 6 times what he would get here. 6 times what he would take home. 5.5 times, whatever. You know what I mean. Guys, this could happen. If these stories are even 90% real, what I'm talking about is the figures. If the figures are within 80% of what's really being offered and what's on the table, this deal could happen. There's a lot of people saying that this deal is not going to happen. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, dude, no. Why can't this happen? Tell me why if I offered you, if you had your dream job at your dream company, and I said, bro, I'm going to pay you 6 times what you get paid. 6 times what you get paid. And guess what, dude? You can take $200,000 a week and blow it every week. Just blow it on a mansion, a yacht, a vacation home, a big house in Portugal too, where you live. And by the way, like their season in Saudi Arabia has a pretty decent sized off season, so you can have 3-4 months off every year, and live the lavish life. He can eat caviar all day long, have servants, have chauffeurs and drivers and security for his kids. His kids could be going to like nice high class American schools that they have over there in Saudi Arabia, like. And he would only have to do it for 3 or 4 years, and he has generational wealth. He's done. Like after 3 or 4 years, he cashes out, and he spent $200,000 a week and pocketed $1 million in his savings account. Spent $200,000 a week buying houses, businesses, yachts, doing whatever. $200,000 a week. That's $800,000 a month. Do you know how hard it is to spend $800,000 a month? I mean, even if you buy a private jet, you're only going to buy one. Like, he's going to live the life and put $1 million away every week for 3 or 4 years, and now he's crazy wealthy for generations to come. It's not something you can't think about. Like, it's not something he's going to sit there and be like, no, I'm staying at Manchester United because I love the team. I have no doubt that he loves Manchester United. He's dedicated so much of his best years to us. So this isn't me saying anything negative about him. I'm just telling you this is reality. This is life. You have family, you have kids, you have to think about your kids, you have to think about your grandkids, and especially with, all this economical stuff that's happening around the world, and it's not easy to turn down this kind of wealth. So I don't know, guys. I don't know. I am nervous for our team. Even though we would be cashing in 120, 150 million, so then I have to already prepare myself mentally to like, hey man, if it was me and I got offered 6 times the money and I'm 31 years old, no one's ever going to offer me half of that. Forget that again. No one's going to offer me half of that ever again. If I'm lucky, I might make what I'm making now 3 years from now. If I'm lucky, he's probably going to make even less. He's not going to make more in 2 years. He's going to make less in 2 years. So I gotta consider it if it was me, right? So I have to prepare myself that like, hey, this is a reality that might happen. What does my team do in this situation? Where am I? Where are we? Is this our Coutinho moment? What do I mean by that? This is when Liverpool sold Coutinho for a lot of money to Barcelona, and they used that money and rebuilt the team the right way. But they really rebuilt the team. I mean, by the time they found success, they had already overturned 90% of the team, if not everybody, from the moment Coutinho left. So is this the Coutinho moment for Manchester United where our best player has to leave? We bring in a big ton of money, but then if you think about it, here's what we need. I wrote some things down. Before I do though, like I forgot to mention all the stuff about Ineos being business and everything. I was telling you guys like they're business savvy and everything else. At some point as a business, you have to look at an offer that's being made. If somebody's offering you 120, 150 million for a player like Bruno's great. Don't get me wrong. Bruno's probably the best number 10 in the world right now. Whether you like him or not, you have to admit he's in the top 5 number 10s in the world, and I think he's the best number 10 in the world, in my opinion. And I've always backed him, and I've always told you guys why. Even when people were harsh on him last season, I would tell you why he's making the mistakes he's making and how I see it as whatever you want to call me, a fan, I guess. Let's just stick with that. As a fan, how I see it and where I think his head's at and why he makes the mistakes he makes. I think he's the best number 10 in the world. That's my opinion as of right now. But he's definitely in the top 5, even if you don't agree with me. With that said, as a business owner in Ineos, if somebody came to me and offered me 150 million for a depreciating asset like Bruno, he's a depreciating asset who's not worth 150 million. At his best right now, he'd be worth half that, let's say. If he is one of the top 5 number 10s in the world, at his age, he was probably worth 70. That's a fair price for a Bruno Fernandes at 31 years old. Worst case scenario or best case scenario, 80. So if someone's willing to offer you 120, 130, 140, 150, that's a lot more than he's worth. And he's only going to depreciate. He's not going to stay at that worth. In a year or two, he might only be worth 50 or less. Okay, depending on how those year and two goes. Knock on wood. Even if he's not a Manchester United player, I hope nothing happens to him, and I hope he plays at a high level for another 5, 6, 7 years. But you never know. One bad knee injury, something can I hope it doesn't happen. Knock on wood. I really do. I really like this guy as a human being, and I'll back him no matter where he goes, as long as he doesn't go to Liverpool or Man City or Arsenal. As long as he doesn't end up in any of those places, I will back that man because I really do admire him, like him. I'm a big fan of his. But Ineos, business, depreciating asset, getting a high value offer for him, you might have to sell, man. You might have to sell if you're really trying to be a business savvy, financially smart person. And then you use that money, though, every single dime of that money has to go injected into the team. But here's the thing. To do this right, you have to rebuild the entire team, not just use that money to buy 2 good players, 3 good players at 50 million each, 2 good players at 75 million each. And by the way, I know amortization, you can use 150 million to buy 5 players that are each worth 150 million, but that's not how it works because you have to have the money to make those payments again next season. So unless you're going to sell another guy for 150 million every single season for the next 5 seasons to pay those debts, then that's not how it works. But easily you can take that 150 million and spend exactly 150 million on other players who amount to 150, like 275 million pound players or 350 million pound players, however you want to add it up. And then that money can pay you would pay it in installments using that money and you're covered. That's how that works. So a lot of people will say, oh, I just sold someone for 150. That means I can buy 5 players, I can spend 5 times that money. No, that's unless you know you got another 150 million coming next season, whether that's from selling another player or winning the Champions League or whatever, then no, that's not how it works. So we need a new goalkeeper or 2 if we sell Onana and Bayender. I think we're going to sell either Onana or Bayender. I don't know if we'll sell 2. I don't know if we have that in us, but we'll need another goalkeeper or 2. We need a center back because most of our center backs are either old or broken or maybe too young to play and start every game, like Aiden Heaven. I like what I've seen of Aiden Heaven, and I like, God, is his name Fredrickson? The young guy who's been playing the last couple of games for us. I like what I see from them, but they're too young to be like starting every game. We need one more center back who's going to start 80% of our games because our other center backs are the ones that are supposedly dependable are either injury prone or just really old and running out of time. And Lindelof is leaving, so we need someone who's much better than Lindelof to come in and actually make that his starting position. And De Ligt and Maguire are going to have to like back him up. Or De Ligt can be starting and we can... Oh, that's the other thing I was saying. If they're not old or broken or too young to be starting every game, they're actually fullbacks playing as center backs like Luke Shaw or Mazraoui. We don't need to be... That can't be our number one option at center back. Our number one option at center back has to be a high-level center back who can play in that 3-4-3 system. So we need at least one more center back. One's good. One's good enough. And we need a center mid who can do what Casemiro does with younger legs, which is basically have defensive capabilities, but also like help us in attack by distributing the ball. And also, hopefully, a better dribbler than Casemiro, someone who can carry the ball forward, and so that Kobe Mainoo has someone to learn from. Because I think Kobe Mainoo, we don't know if he's going to be a number 10 or a center mid, but he has to have good examples in both so that we can get him to become whatever it is he's supposed to become. Okay, so we need a center mid who can do what Casemiro does with better ball carrying and younger legs. We need a number 10 like Cunha, which is good that we're probably going to get Cunha, and it's very close. But we also need another one who can create, pass, and dribble, especially if we're getting rid of Bruno Fernandes. So if we're getting rid of Bruno Fernandes, we need this either way. But if we're getting rid of Bruno Fernandes, then we definitely need another number 10 that can pass, dribble, create, and sometimes chip in with a goal. But that's supposed to be Cunha, and whoever we get with the next thing I'm going to write or wrote down, which is we need a striker. We need a striker who's going to score goals, and we need somebody who's going to score 20-plus goals. We need a Victor Osimhen or we need a Gyökeres, in my opinion. Now, I know that they might not even be options for us. I don't know. All I know is Liam Delap's not going to be a 20-goal per season guy, and he's fine. Like, he's an upgrade, and I'll take him. And I've said it in past videos. If you're new to the channel, sorry, you don't know my actual opinion on Liam Delap. My opinion on Liam Delap is he's an upgrade. He's fine. He'll do better than what we have, but he's not a world beater. He's too young to lead the line for us. He's going to be taking his cues from Bruno. He's going to be taking his keys from Cunha. He's not someone who can like stand up for himself and lead the line for us. He's gonna be a young guy who's an understudy. He'd be better if he was a young guy who was an understudy to somebody else, who's more in their prime. I think we need a striker who's in his prime. I don't think we need another young fellow like Rasmus Højlund is right now, who's going to have his ups and downs, and who knows, by his second season, the weight of that shirt might ruin him, just like we've ruined some other players. You know what I mean? You never know. I'm just saying we probably need someone in their prime. Now, if we sell Bruno Fernandes, I think we got to sell Garnacho. I think we got to sell Rasmus. I think we got to sell other players and make it a crazy £500 million summer. And rebuild, like really rebuild. Because if you sell Bruno Fernandes and you don't go for a complete overhaul and rebuild, oh man, I'm going to be terrified next season when our best player and our captain is gone and all we have is 4 new players to show for it, and only 2 of them, like Cunha, Liam Delap. Let's even say Ederson, because now we have Bruno Fernandes money. So Ederson, Cunha, Liam Delap, and a goalkeeper. And maybe a center back who is Jonathan Tah, and we sold Bruno Fernandes, we're in trouble, dude. We are in trouble. I'm telling you right now, we're going to be in trouble. Because Cunha, who's going to create for Cunha? Who? Casemiro or Menu? Who? And Liam Delap, who's going to captain this team? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we need to buy. It's hard to buy a captain. But who is going to captain this team if he leaves? These are the things I think about. And God, I really hope that Ineos, Barada, whatever, Jason Wilcox, that they're thinking like, okay, dude, we have to consider this because it's £150 million for an aging player. Although he's good, but I mean, is he going to be able to play at the Premier League pace like he does now 3 years from now? Are we going to ever cash out, or do we even need the money? Now, they always act like we need the money. That's why I'm talking like this, right? They can't in one breath tell me that we're making a bunch of people redundant. We're not going to serve lunch anymore. And if you want lunch and you work here, you know, eat that banana or that apple, and that's about all you get in a piece of toast. Like we're in prison. And we're always complaining about money. But then when someone goes, hey, man, I'll pay you 3 times or 2.5 times what this player is worth to buy him, you're going to go, no, you can't do that. They're going to consider it. They have to consider it. It would be irresponsible as businessmen if they don't consider it. And this is coming from a guy who doesn't want him sold. This is coming from a guy who's scared out of his mind. I am scared because I don't trust our recruitment department, and I don't trust that they're going to do the right thing with this money. Because believe me, if it's me, I'd be sitting in that boardroom in that meeting going like, guys, if we're going to consider selling this man, first of all, we need to put a clock on it. We need to tell Bruno Fernandes that you don't have much time. You need to decide by next week if you want to go or not. Because if Bruno Fernandes wants to go, you can't knock. That's for sure. You now have to consider, and you have to listen to offers, and you have to talk to Saudi Arabia and be like, hey, man, we're not selling him for less than 150. Like, do you have 150? I would even say like 200. You got 200? And if they say no, we'll give you 125, which is a British record, I'll be like, then give us 150. You know what I mean? But the point is, though, I'd be sitting in the boardroom and I would tell my fellow board members that, guys, if we do this, the only way we can not look like idiots by doing this is we can't be keeping players who haven't performed yet. We got to get rid of Garnacho. We have to get rid of Rasmus. We have to get rid of whoever else we need to get rid of to be able to spend $500 million this summer and really build a squad for this manager, for these fans who were basically selling their captain. We got to build these players. We got to build these people a squad. and we got to work double time this summer and make a lot of sales too, because we got to get rid of 5 or 6 players and bring in 5 or 6 high ticket players. Guys, that's it for today. I'll see you on the watch along tomorrow. There's something there. If you watch this video, come to the watch along, share your thoughts. We'll talk about it a little bit in the halftime and after the game too. I'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget, watch along. Come join me. Thank you very much, and peace out. And I want to thank Diogo, who's someone who's a viewer who's been making my thumbnails for me, including this one. He's been making my thumbnails for me and really helping me out so that I can make more videos and not have to spend time doing the little things that you have to do when you make a YouTube video. So thank you so much, Diogo, for all the thumbnails. Thank you for bearing with me, because I know you're on the other side of the world in Portugal, and I'm over here in California, and our times don't match. And thank you to everybody who joined me for the watch along. Drop the like, subscribe if you're new, and if you are new, check out some of the old videos, especially the Amarim Tactics ones, like this one here. Check that thumbnail out. Go check out that video. Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.